Do you really think that this is all that I know? And so when you watch John Bravo's video, it's going crazy. You think the stories about Wes Watson were a big deal? Wes Watson was nothing. This is far worse than you can imagine. And so right now, I want you to imagine the craziest, grossest, most despicable acts. I want you to imagine that about Larry. It's gonna be worse than that.
This is a brain rot special.
Tiamat's cooking in the basement.
Well, listen, you've been very open about your sex life.
You've been very open about your sex life. And so crazy strength sex stories and simping. And we have none other than multi-Mr. Olympia champion Flex Lewis interviewing Larry. And it's some very revealing stories. However, I always say this, and I don't think people actually believe me. What you see from people, it's the tip of the iceberg. Iceberg. Big iceberg. No, I'm not talking about that. Perhaps bro is taking harder than last time. And so out of this, you only see just the tip. The references go crazy. And so just the tip is about 10%. The rest is below the ice. And so when you see an iceberg, you see that much ice sticking out. There's about 9 feet underneath. And so what Larry discussed here was perhaps just the tip. Just the tip of the iceberg, 10%. And so imagine he's revealing this, but add a 0 to how much more crazy shit is going on.
How do you go from Larry, self-confessed sex addiction to long-distance relationship?
Well, she sends me lots of news.
What kind of news? Her with other men? I'm just asking.
And she has been such an integral part of that. With the sex addiction and
such an integral part of my sex addiction.
How I found a way to blow all my money on sex addiction.
And so he managed to spend all of his money. Larry Wheels, he has a lot of money, millions of followers. He spent all of it. And he's in Dubai. There's no stripping clubs. There's none of that stuff. And so how did he manage to spend all of his money? And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars each and every month. That's the kind of addiction we're referring to. And it's not from gambling. He wasn't watching Togi back then. It's from his addiction.
The worst thing I had to deal with in Dubai, because it was like near impossible to get out of that habit. It was legitimate addiction, just like porn addiction, only way worse.
Way worse than being addicted to corn. And remember, he's in Dubai. They're kind of like in Dubai, it's a bit more secretive. You can't do things in public. I mean, I was there with Mepsigram. She kissed me and they told her to stop. What do you mean? You kiss his cheek in public? Leave that for the room. And so imagine how expensive it is, especially in Dubai, when women there expect you to be a multimillionaire. And so imagine how much it would cost for these girls to scratch his itch, so to speak.
Right, paying for videos and photos. And
what kind of videos and photos cost hundreds of thousands of dollars? I'm asking you. I mean, use your brain. If you said to a girl, I've got $15,000 a month to spend, to afford, and I'm gonna need you to send me some videos. And she's a cam girl. This is what she does for a living. Don't you think that's enough to cover it? $15,000 a month. She's thinking, oh my God, I hit the jackpot. A guy's willing to spend $15,000 for me to send him nudes and videos? That's 180,000 USD per year. That's double, triple what most people are gonna make in a year from sending videos. And so with one customer, one client, she's made it. He's spending 10 times that. What do you think he requires?
Well, the truth is, when you're on TRT, when you're on cycle, your libido is through the roof.
He just admits it. Why would he do this? When you're on TRT on cycle, does anyone believe that Larry's on TRT? I mean, it's almost as bad as that doctor on Mitchell Hooper's video that said, yeah, TRT, we give our athletes 400 milligrams a week of TRT. Mitchell's like, 400? And so all the comments were, what are you talking about? 400 milligrams a week. And so depending on the clinic that you go to, they're not giving you TRT. Just because a doctor says it's TRT doesn't mean that it actually is. 400 milligrams. And his words, yeah, that should get you from in the 200s, probably nanograms per deciliter, to 400s, maybe 600s. 400, not 40. 400.
The normal dosing schedule is about 400 milligrams of testosterone, whether it's injected 1 week, and now there are certain medications that you can take orally, but that we have to be careful with.
Is 400 your TRT, or is that for the athletes?
That's TRT. 400
for TRT?
For TRT, yeah.
Wow.
And so maybe Larry's TRT is 400 test and 400 tren, and that is what's caused his insatiable libido. Remember, I've used tren, abused it, and so I can tell you during that time, I needed it a lot. 3 times what was normal. I've also had many friends, I've coached other people, and their attitudes will quite literally change. For the worse. People will do things that they shouldn't be doing. And so if you do go this route, trust me, it can be dangerous.
Sometimes I just want to jerk off. I want to be alone, jerk off, and I want to have sex sometimes. I found myself on those websites with a super high libido, and I fucked myself.
Quite literally. And so oftentimes he doesn't want to be with someone else. He wants to watch videos. And now you know what kind of videos. Videos of his partner, his girlfriend, his wife, doing these explicit acts with other men, AKA being a cuck.
But my fiance, I gave her full transparency with my bank accounts, so she'll see exactly where I'm spending my money, and it works.
He gives her full transparency with his bank accounts. Now, see, that is one of the things that a cow does. They'll give their access codes, their passwords, and so on to these women who will exploit them for all that they're worth. And so I've seen these videos. They're saying, I got $500,000 from this man. And they'll say, I took him for every cent that he has. He had an addiction. And so they'll be interviewing the girl and they'll say, well, don't you feel guilty about that? And they'll say, well, he wants it. Like, he wants to feel exploited. He wants me to abuse him. And so is it right? Is it wrong? Well, I think all of us are going to think, clearly it's wrong, but it's hard to judge that person. If you were in that position and somebody told you, I want you to spend all my money, all of it, are you going to say no? When they're throwing at you some bands, 10 bands here, 10 bands there, spend my money. But don't you only make $45,000 a year? Yeah, I don't care. Spend all my money, my life savings. I don't care. Would you say, nah, some wouldn't do it? A lot would, and so you can't judge other people. Don't give me the virtue signaling bullshit that none of you would actually spend it. And a lot of you, you're using your man right now. A lot of you are. Buy me this, buy me that. You only act like you're in the mood when they buy you that Birkin bag, or perhaps they don't have a lot of money, when they take you out to dinner. But romance starts in the morning, and it starts with him buying me a gift. I know there are 6 love languages and that gifts is one of them, but can't we stick with words of affirmation or perhaps physical touch? But no, some women and men, they require acts of love to be gifts. Give me some money. And so, hey, I'm just reporting the news. I'm just saying what exists in this world.
They're blown through all their money and they can't keep a girlfriend. And the way I figured out how to stop it, nip it in the butt, give your girl access to your bank account.
And so when Larry says, I don't need a prenup, is it not possible that she's seen as a bank account and it's essentially empty? If Larry had millions of dollars, why would he have needed $50,000 from his friend to put a down payment on his house? Trust me, when you have millions of dollars, let's call it $10 million or more, are you borrowing money from friends? And so when you know it's true about this story, we've reported it. Myself, John Bravo, other people, we've talked about Larry and that $50,000 loan investment from his friend that he refused to give back. And so Larry, he doesn't have any money. He spends it all. And so what is the point of having a prenup when you don't have any money to worry about? And so if Larry actually had any money, why would he be begging people for donations on Kick? I'm not kidding. Would a millionaire, multimillionaire at that, be asking for $10 or $20 donations on Kick? And so you can see, it states, chat plus react, Discord, donate. In my opinion, it's frankly embarrassing to ask people to donate money when you have perhaps 10 or 100 times more money than them. Like, imagine if I made this video and I said, hey, could you all please donate me some money? Like, could you please send over $10? I have a Patreon account. I need you all to send me some money. I mean, it's one thing to sell products. For example, Larry Wheels is selling his belt, the lever belt that you can adjust all the time. And so you buy the thing and you make money from that. He has that caffeine thing you put in your mouth, the caffeine jizz, if you will. It's 3 cc's, I believe, and you squirt it in your mouth and you get some caffeine. And so if you want to support Larry, well, buy something from him. To the same extent, if you want to support me, you buy this. We both win. You win by getting more gains, improving the amount of muscle that you build. And I win by, well, helping you as well as helping me. I make money. There's actual profit in this. And so that is how you do it. But begging people for donations on Kick, does that not prove that Larry has no money?
How much you spending?
Everything. Yeah.
How much is the most you've ever spent on these sites and stuff?
Oh, probably like 5 figures a day.
5 figures a day. $10,000 or more. 5 figures could be technically $20,000. $10,000 a day times 30 would be $300,000, and Larry is probably talking about USD. Let that sink in, okay? That is a lot of money. 5 figures a day, and you're thinking 5 figures a month, that would be a lot. A day!
No, you're on TRT. Has that helped?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Way down.
And so he says, hey, has been going down on TRT, has that helped? Yeah, absolutely. I want to point your attention to the video that Larry said he relapsed. Remember? Larry relapsed? How much does Larry weigh right now? Is he not going on 300 plus pounds? Does anyone think that Larry is only on TRT? And I'm not talking about the doctor that said TRT is 400 milligrams. I'm talking about much higher doses than that. And so knowing that steroids can cause this addictive behavior, how many of you think he hasn't also relapsed and is wanting more videos and more cucking than ever before? And so listen, what people decide to do in the privacy of their own home, they can do whatever they want. If you have this kind of fetish, these fantasies, so long as you're not breaking any laws and you're not hurting anyone, there's nothing wrong with that. But I can still warn other men on how to avoid this happening to them. And so if I was a young man, I would be very careful with the corn that I'm watching, especially when combined with abusive doses of performance-enhancing drugs. And so add to this, to the concerns of balding and acne and gynecomastia and getting a heart attack, add to this the complexities of becoming a cuck. And so remember, she started it, Larry started it, making videos talking about my girlfriend. And so I'm just giving the people what they want. I'm reporting the news. Yeah, it's drama. Yes, it's uncomfortable to talk about, but it's the truth nonetheless. And so if you want to see the full details, remember, I left out 90%. Remember when I said tip of the iceberg? Do you really think that this is all that I know? And so when you watch John Bravo's video, it's going crazy. You think the stories about Wes Watson were a big deal? Wes Watson was nothing. This is far worse than you can imagine. And so right now, I want you to imagine the craziest, grossest, most despicable acts. I want you to imagine that about Larry. It's gonna be worse than that. And so please type in the comment section, John, release the Larry files. Hopefully you were entertained. Hopefully you can see none of this is fabricated. None of this is made up. I'm simply reporting the news. Now, had she have just said, Coach Greg's a manlet, a loser, nobody likes him, he's an asshole, all the different things. Coach Greg's a piece of shit, he's an asshole. So what? I don't care. You can say whatever you want. But since you decide to make it personal and add in Mepstaglam, well, you get what you get. Now, one thing that's important to understand is that if Larry had not used and abused performance-enhancing drugs, but had instead had been using Turk Builder Max or Turk Platinum, he wouldn't have gotten the sex addiction. It prevents you from being a sex addict, And had he not have been a sect addict, he wouldn't have spent 5 figures a day or more. It would have saved him millions of dollars. And so for some reason, the price of this, it's still under $100 per container, and you can still use code Greg for 15% off. There's still bulk order discounts. And so I think we could actually increase the price to $1,000, because for a product that works this well, you know, it builds muscles better than creatine, all that stuff, but to prevent you from turning into Larry Wheels, it's priceless. And so if there's any left, go and buy them out. This is the best natural supplement in the world. If you're contemplating using steroids, this should be used instead. Also, of course, you know GO2 Max is for improved cardio. That way, when you're training harder than last time, and if you ever have sexy time in the gym, you'll have better stamina. It increases your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, rather than sitting around like this, tired. You have no energy because you just rode your bike for 2 hours. You're tired. Instead of that, you have energy for the rest of the day. You're going to feel energetic, you're going to feel good, and you're going to be able to keep going. And so you're going to burn more calories than last time. And some of you have problems with your appetite. You can get GLP Max. What this does is it reduces your appetite by 28%, makes you less hungry than last time, easier to stick to your diet. Of course, you already got my cookbook. That's going to help, of course. And if it's not enough, now, you know, you've used this, but your testosterone levels are still very low. You've tried the G-Test Platinum. Testosterone's still low. You go to AlgoRx, right? You can get blood work and all these things. This is a pharmaceutical company, and it's got legit prescriptions from doctors. And so you can get prescriptions for things like enclomiphene if you need it, for testosterone, for HRT. They don't sell Tren. You're not going to end up like Larry Wheels. And so if you need these things, for example, even Cialis or telmisartan, or perhaps glutathione, the list goes on and on, various peptides. You go there, and remember, the prices are approximately 50% less than from Merrick Health. And so what I want you to do is you compare prices. You know, I want you to get the best deal. Obviously, use code Greg for 10% off. It saves you a bit more money. Compare Merrick Health and compare AlgoRx. You are going to be shocked at how they can sell it for so much more for equally effective products. Not saying they're bad. I'm just saying the prices are double. And so if you want to save money, now, if you're, for example, Larry Wheels and you're a cuck and you're throwing away all your money, you may as well go to Merrick Health. Hey, better off spending your money on Merrick Health than on some cam girls. But if you're less than rich, you're only making, for example, a couple $100,000 or maybe less than that each and every year. You're not rich. You go to AlgoRx because you can actually afford their products. And so you can thank me later, you can live a long and healthy life, avoid all the bullshit. And so please start the shopping right now. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Will Larry Wheels make a response video? I mean, if I'm him, I'm just gonna come out and say, yep, this is what turns me on. I would own it. Screw it. I mean, he was literally talking to the OF girl saying, does your audience know? You may as well have everyone know. Lean into it. Be like, I don't care. I'm Larry Wheels. Why not? Live your life the way you want it. And so, hey, I'm sure that many of you don't want to live this life, but if you do, why not just own it? Own who you want to be. Don't forget to watch any of those 2 bloops. I can't wait to continue to report. Can't wait to watch John Bravo's video. It's going to be more revealing than last time. If you thought this video was revealing, wait till you see the crazy shit that he's going to show you. And until next time, I am out.